from the 22 vendors, and you get the conservation water. The trail's a third of a mile long, so you go by the Lake Road. Water and bathrooms are at both ends. Water and bathrooms in between. We have
Here we are on the Conservation Trail.
Is that the infrastructure of our water.
Sticking a pin where their homes are.
Good, how about you?
I want to see these pipes over here. These are actual sewer pipes. The sewer pipes, and I am happy to say, haven't been used.
Okay.
We're going to flush you down these sewer pipes, okay?
They've been used. They have been used.
Stop in here, I have my light went off. We're in the Chesapeake Bay watershed.
Corrosion.
Chesapeake Bay watershed is made up of parts of Virginia, parts of Maryland,
storm
actually all of
water gets
Maryland,
into the
Delaware,
sewer
parts
system,
of New York,
that creates a
Pennsylvania,
heavier load
and
New York.
Yes, all the water, like Binghamton, New York, and Susquehanna, I think it is, comes down to the bay. In the bay, we're having problems.
Lots of things in
And our
there.
job, of course, is some nutrients and some issues going on down there. So we're going to be cleaning up the bay around here by doing phosphorus and nitrogen. This causes algal blooms, reduces level of oxygen in the water, and harms the fish. But for making you go halfway down and coming back. All right.
The Scouts are
Take a sewer bypass.
going to explore the sewer system here. What a way to tour.
So just hold on a
And
second.
our trash receptacle. We'll take
Here's the outlet to the sewer.
I'm trying to get the rotor man here.
Is he stuck?
We can we can't keep it in house. People get mad if we can't get it. Which is all right. I don't.
There he comes out. Did you feel at home, John?
Oh man.
There you go. It works great.
Be careful what you put in there. You have to crawl through it.
Yeah.
Be inspired to help you, okay? Now, after that, you have to make sure you document pictures, very, very detailed. What you had to begin with, what you did while you're working on it, and what was the effect afterwards. They want you to be very clear and explain how you made a difference and what impact you had on the problem. That's the reason why I'm going to give you the thing to do is
Now I see which way over there.
Polar bear! You know those can swim underwater for 3 hours? It's amazing.
We're supposed to be the same. 11 million acres of land throughout the United States. In fact, there's a national wildlife refuge within an hour's drive of your home. Where are you guys from? All over the place. We are all over North Carolina. Tell me where you are on the map.
Oh, you won.
Louisiana. From Louisiana?
Here the other day, he said something about, he said something about how they
That's smug.
smug.
You ever wondered what smug meant? That's what it means.
Does it count like turns?
That's
She can
smug.
not only do that, but she can do other tricks as well. No, she can tip her head completely upside down and then swivel it upside down. So it's like taking the lid off the can and then turning it.
Hungry. So we're going to fly him. Good.
Why did you say those eyes?
We have an F-14, a Hummer, and 2 stealth bombers.
To what?
Stealth bombers. It's the best way to remember it. A Hummer is made for what? It's a ground assault vehicle, right? F-14 is made for what? Airstrikes. So a Falcon fastest creature on the planet, peregrine falcon, basically uses its aerodynamic supremacy to go beyond terminal velocity. What the heck did I just say? She goes faster than gravity wants to pull any falling object to the earth. She breaks all the rules. There's a big peregrine falcon female. By the way, guys, girls are bigger than females. You remember that, right? You gotta do the head thing.
I took, and I know he killed it, but I couldn't find the body.
What did he do with it? Why would he kill it?
It's a predator. It's a predator.
Oh, just because it ruins his business.
But no, it wasn't a business. It was recreation. The rabbits for the field trial. So I fed this to our forensic lab, and they used documented that. Oh, that's a violation. So we sent him a ticket for $2,500 that he could pay without going to court. I'm gonna charge you unless I can prove it. Send a ticket. He showed up in court with it to represent yourself. So we went to trial, and I was convicted. Right?
Where are we at?
We're at the Forest Service exhibit, the Jamboree National Forest.
Great.
Next one is for the international.
A lot more on the East Coast than the West. Maybe they're not out of bed yet. It's early. It's only 1 o'clock.
Volunteer. In fact, what the forest is going to look like could be out as far as 100 years. I mean, that's kind of the time horizon that we do management. There aren't any right or wrong answers on this. They just are.
So if you want to manage it,
Could we leave it as? Well, actually,
Do we leave the forest or do we shape it, manage it, left or right? The trail branches here.
your choice. Yeah. You want to activate
Try to shape it. This is the leave it trail.
Well, my fine young supervisor, you're the boss. You're the in-charge guy. What they didn't tell you is that nature has a mind of its own. It will do what it's going to do. One of two random events is about to take place here on the Jamboree National Forest. If you take the low road, you'll have to deal with a lightning strike and fire situation. If you take the high road, there's going to be an insect outbreak and unauthorized ATV use on the National Forest.
We chose to leave it, but now we have damage along our trails. Do we leave it, let nature take its course, or shape it and remove the dead trees? Maybe we ought to remove it. Low impact, high tech way of removing trees. And another patch, nice patch for walking the trail.
Universities, private industry, and government agencies to conduct research that share technology for improving water conservation and management, waste control.
yeah. We actually, he has a kernel.
They even told me to cut it down.
I'm sorry, this one. Okay, that's the formal part. The informal part, guys, is think of it this way.
Those pops you hear in the background is the shotgun range. You know, might be hearing that over most of the course of this video. Very popular event. We'll go visit that. Hi, this is Doug Cook. I'm here at the 2005 National Scout Jamboree, and you're about to see the Leave No Trace presentation.
That was good. He was good.
So you want to jump out now and
Want to jump out?
What's up, Barlin? How are you?
yeah, you should.
Leave No Trace reference card with all you. Are you guys familiar with Leave No Trace? I am familiar with it. Do you guys want to do it? Who else? Anybody? You got one? You got one? Okay.
Come on in. Good afternoon. I'll have you move down here just a little bit so I can get this whole crowd in. That's good. That's good. Thank you. Okay, great. Welcome to the first principle of Leave No Trace, which is plan ahead and prepare. This one I consider to be the very most important principle of Leave No Trace. If you don't plan ahead and prepare properly, there's a very good chance that you're not going to have a successful trip. There's a very good chance you're not going to be able to follow the other principles of Leave No Trace. So this one is very important. Now, to start your trip, always a great idea to first get information about the area you're going to be visiting. You can do that by perhaps checking the internet to get information about the area you want to visit. You can make a phone call, get some information by mail. You want to get information about regulations the area might have, which can be very important to you in terms of maybe having to get a permit for overnight camping, or it may be an area where they prohibit campfires, for example, which affects the equipment you need to bring. You'd have to bring a backpacking stove in order to be able to cook your food. Very important to get regulation information. At the same time, you can get information about the weather forecast. Know what the weather is going to be, get an idea of the climate. You can also learn about what extreme weather might be coming in during the period of your visit. And that way you can be prepared for the extreme weather. Anybody know what this plant is? Yeah, poison ivy. Boy Scout toilet paper. All right? You also need to be aware of the environment you're going to be making your trip to. Know what kind of vegetation you might be getting into. Know what wildlife concerns there might be. Know what other critters might be out there in terms of stinging insects or mosquitoes, ticks, etc., etc. So it may affect the clothing and equipment you're going to bring. For example, you may need to bring insect repellent in order to deal with ticks and mosquitoes. So think about your planning ahead and preparing in terms of your clothing, your equipment, and your food. And dealing with planning ahead with your clothing may be just as simple as having a jacket, warm clothing to deal with a cold climate, having a poncho or rain gear, some kind of rain gear to deal with storms, rain. You might want to have something bright colored along with you in case you're going to be going to a place where there's a hunting season and you're there during the hunting season so you can stay safe in the woods. You'll also perhaps need the right footwear if you're going to be visiting a place that has a lot of rugged hiking. You want to go with sturdy boots. Just a lot of equipment things to think about, and the list, of course, could go on and on. But also, don't forget to bring a map of the area and the compass and know how to use them. Bring a first aid kit, maybe other emergency equipment. But also think about your food preparation and your planning. Rather than trying to bring a lot of bulky boxed items from a grocery store as you buy them in the grocery store, repackage your food so you're not carrying a lot of extra packaging, and so you're not carrying a lot of extra food that you're not going to be using. So plan enough food for your group, repackage it into some kind of plastic bags, and that way you're not going to be carrying so much waste back out, and you're not going to be tempted to dig that hole and bury your food, which wildlife will get into. And one last thing is, be careful about group size. Try to keep your group size small, 6, 8, 10 people. A lot of places now do restrict group sizes to certain limits. So another good reason to check with the area that you're going to be visiting so you can get information about regulations. Okay? Thank you much, and I'll send you on to the next station, which is Camp and Travel on Durable Surfaces.
Travel and camp on durable surfaces. We're standing on right here, part of the trail. Look behind you over there. There's some green woody vegetation on the forest floor. That's blueberries. And if you look out here, there's some thick green vegetation out there. It's kind of a little wetland area out there. And then another surface would be this just kind of leaf litter, like that. I want you all to do an exercise here with me on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the most durable, 10 being the most fragile. How would you rate the trail surface? Yeah. Pretty darn durable. It's an extremely durable surface there. It's an area that's already been impacted by the hundreds of people that have traveled around this loop here. So by traveling on that, you're not doing a lot of damage, you're not doing a lot of change. How about this leaflet, the duck, this area right here, scale of 1 to 10? 4. 2, 4,
5. Okay, a couple different possibilities. It's a fairly durable surface. If you look at the leaf litter closely, you still notice there's little things like this little chestnut oak seedling in here. So you're still having an impact on some of the vegetation there, but not too much. It's a little more fragile than the trail is. How about the blueberry bushes back over here? 6, yeah, you're getting up there. It's a woody vegetation. You know, if one of you all travel through there and step on one of those blueberry bushes, it'll probably spring back. But if all of you walked in a line through there, those blueberry bushes there would be a line through there that'll last well into the next couple of years. And how about the wetland vegetation back there? Yeah, that's the most fragile stuff we have around here. That's the one that's, ideally you stay off of as much as possible. Certain situations we know, you got to travel through a wetland area. Sometimes trails are built to go through wetland areas, and they're constructed in such a way just to minimize the impacts. All right, if you're traveling off trail here, say you all want to get to a spot out there, you're doing a little cross-country travel. How should you travel out there? Should you travel in a single file line, or should you spread out in a long front side by side?
I'd say spread out.
Single.
Spread out, a single. Spreading out will be best because essentially you're walking in a spot and nobody else is walking in that same spot. So you're not having multiple impacts on the same place out there. Whereas when you're walking down this trail, should you concentrate in a single file line or should you spread out? Single file line on the trail, yeah. Concentrate in your use on the already impacted or the high use areas. And this same principle applies for the other concept in this this principle of leave no trace. This is camp and travel on durable surfaces. You've done traveling on durable surfaces, camping on durable surfaces. When you select a campsite, ideally selecting a campsite that's already been used before, an area that's already impacted. It's the same concept as traveling on a trail. You're doing very little damage because there's not much there to damage. And in your camping area, we like to consider you having two kind of primary use areas. There's the area where you sleep, and there's the area where you cook. Do you think the area where your tent is, or the area where your kitchen is, receives more impact? Yeah, kitchen generally does. You get so much more activity going on there. Where your tent is, you kind of mat things down a little bit, and there's usually some scuffing. You can see a trail in and out of the front of the tent. But where your kitchen is, there's a lot of activity going on around there, and a lot of scuffing. So if you have the choice, choose the most durable surface for your kitchen, and concentrate your use in that particular area. That's kind of the ideal for campsite selection and durable surfaces. So you guys have any questions about this principle at all? Fantastic. Dispose of waste properly is the next principle down the left. Thanks.
I whooped up on it because all of this stuff here you left at home. This is the granola wrappers and packaging that we don't need. That's what half of our waste is, and then we end up having to carry it around. So we got rid of all that. When we go through it, we cook dinner, we go through and have a little bit of food particles left because we didn't really clean everything up. Then indeed we want to run it through the strainer to get those food particles out, put those food particles back in the bags that we took our food out of, and double bag it, okay? We don't want to be attracting, if we bury it, we're going to attract Mr. Rat here and his friends, maybe some bigger friends, so we don't want to do that. But we don't have food scraps in our camp for two reasons. One, we have a lot of human sumps, we know to eat everything, and we have good cooks. Situation is though, if you eat and drink a lot, you got to go to the bathroom, right? You're not going to hold it. So if you got to go, you got to go. 200 feet off away from your camp and away from your water source. If you got to pee, pee. Put it on the ground, spread it out if you can, okay? We don't want you pooping and spread it out everywhere. So we want you to dig a cat hole, 6 to 8 inches deep. Doesn't need to be any deeper. Can be bigger if you need it, but 6 to 8 inches deep is just fine. Want it in that upper organic layer of the soil. Looks about like this. Now remember, the trowel is for digging. The stick is for stirring. Don't stir with your trowel. Why do we stir it up? Helps it degrade a little bit and decompose a little faster. But if you stir with your trowel, and then you come back and you got to put this in your pack. A little clean dirt's okay, but the rest of it, until it's degraded and made into dirt, it's not. Okay? This trowel, if you noticed, happened to have a little toilet paper right there handy in the handle. Yes. All right, when we get done using our site, we've dug our hole, we've used it. Use toilet paper if that's what we're using, goes in the hole. If you ran out of toilet paper, didn't have any in the handle, you want to be Mr. Natural or Miss Natural, whichever the case may be, and you're using leaves or sticks or stones or whatever you're using to wipe with, fine, put them down the hole because you've temporarily contaminated those. Cover it over, When I cover it over, I like to use and just leave the stick right in the hole. That tells people that indeed that site's been used as a toilet recently. By the time this stick rots off, it'll be pretty much natural. Because you know doggone well, everybody goes out there and goes, so I'll go around behind this tree, and you walk around. If you see a stick or two, you might want to move over, right? Don't dig right there. In some of our agency sites, any one of our agency sites, and some other situations like winter camping where there's snow on the ground, you may not be able to dig deep enough to use a cat hole. Everything has to be carried out. Caves is another situation. I would triple bag that. Okay, you cluster it up and triple bag it before you put it back in your pack. You want to make it a little bit nicer. There's some commercial products on the market like this. It's called the Wag Bag. Has a desiccant in it. Works just like a kitty litter box at home. And basically what it does is it dries up the poop a little bit more. It'll actually clump up urine just like a kitty litter box does. The one thing that's nice about it, when you get back to the trailhead, you don't have to sift it out. All you have to do is take it, it's double bagged already, throw the whole thing in the dumpster because it's all biodegradable. Okay? By the way, Philmont, I know, teaches not to leave the stick in the hole because they say we want to leave everything natural. It depends on what rules and regulations are going on. I leave the stick in for my reasons, so it depends on how crowded your site might be. Okay? If everybody does that, we'll have a healthier and happier camp. Fire's your next site.
My name is Anthony Bobo, and I'm with the Bureau of Flame Management. Has anyone ever heard of the Bureau of Flame Management? Good. So where are you from?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. How did you hear about the Bureau of Flame Management in New Jersey?
Read about it, heard about it on television. You guys mostly operate out west.
Right, we do. So very Western oriented agency. A lot of our areas, when you talk about packing things out, campfires and things like that, you have a lot of regulations because they're in areas that are very arid sometimes, and we don't allow some of these things. But here we want to teach you about minimizing the impact of fire. So when we talk about regulations or plan ahead and prepare, you want to find out what is the rules for the area that you're going to. Like I said, some areas we have established fire rings. You can have a campfire there. We actually manage that. In other areas, you can't have a campfire at all. So we want to just show you some different skills and different techniques to minimize campfire. Have here aluminum pan. You actually build your fire inside the aluminum pan, or your cooking pan. You can use that to build your campfire. Here we have a fire retardant blanket. You taking some settlement, such as out of a fallen tree like that, and build a mound. And then you actually put your kindling on top of that and make your campfire there. Once you get finished with this, you can mix it together, spread the ash. You never want to just take the campfire and just put the ash in one area. You want to always make sure that you spread the ash so it can degrade a lot easier. If you're in an area where you can't have a campfire at all, of course you might carry your cooking stove in with you and cook on top of that. You have battery operated lamp that you can use. Have these candle lanterns, very easy to put in your pack. Put a couple of those together, nice to sit around at night. Take a water bottle and a headlamp or a type of flashlight, put it under there, and makes a light glow. You can still sit around that at night. And because, we just have this natural thing of at night wanting to sit around some type of light substance. I mean, a fire is, for most of us, ideal, but if you don't have the opportunity to use that, these are some alternatives that you can use. Anybody have any other ideas to minimize fires or alternative fires that you can use? Okay. So that's basically about it. If you have any questions, great. Well, have a great jamboree and go to the next section.
Means I have how many? Three. There you go. All right, let's talk about leave what you find real quick. When you first came off the main trail onto this trail, did everybody notice that big flower that we had there? It's about 2 foot in diameter, about 4 foot tall. It was blue. Nobody saw it? Somebody picked it. I was afraid they were going to pick it and you wouldn't get the opportunity to see it. They picked it, they took it home, it died, and now it's gone. Now nobody gets to see it. But if they would have taken a picture of that, they would have had that to last them a lifetime and you would have had the experience. My point is, take only pictures, leave only footprints. Same thing with archaeological features. You have the archaeological features, take pictures of them, leave them behind so that the next person can find them for the very first time. My friend Mr. Bird reminds me to respect wildlife. He says view wildlife from a distance. Binoculars is a very good option. View them from a distance, see them in their natural habitat, they'll see you in yours. You encroach on them, they may encroach on you. Dogs, where's the best place for dogs?
Home.
Home, absolutely. They run through the woods, they scare mama bird off a baby bird, and Mr. Skunk gets a free meal. Changing the environment by introduction of domestics. You all like apples? Yes? Yes. Sit around the table, kitchen table, eating apples, throw it down the floor, right?
Yep.
No? What do you throw it on my floor for? Mr. Bear says this is my kitchen floor. He's running around looking for food. He finds your apple. He says, man, this is good. I really like this food. I want more. He runs up and gets in the trash. Now he's in the trash. He starts dumpster diving. I got a problem. I only have two options. I send him away. He comes back. What's my last option? Shoot. Put him away. Just because you didn't pack it in, pack it out. This is a bear box. It's one example of some things that you can do. They're scent proof and keep the stuff away from them. Hanging, as you know, but mainly pack it in, pack it out. The last of the principles that we have down there is be considerate to other visitors. My uniform is very similar to y'all's Class A in as much as it's natural colors. If I walk up through the woods, you probably won't recognize me, and at least I won't stand out. But yet if I put on a yellow slicker and walk up through the woods, you're going to say, look at Big Bird out there in the woods. And every time I walk over a ridge, Big Bird, Big Bird, Big Bird, kind of ruins your experience. Be cognizant of the colors that you wear, the backpacks that you own, the tents that you crawl into, that they fit into the environment and they don't change the experience of other people. The last thing that I'll leave you with is you've heard all the sounds of the cicadas, of the birds. Leave the electronics behind. If you need a cell phone for emergency reasons, turn it off, put it in your pack, and leave it there. What are those things that you put in your ears? What are they called again?
Earphones.
Earphones? I call them earplugs. They block out all the sounds that are around you. Enjoy the sounds that are out there in nature. These will be home when you get there, unless you have a brother or sister that doesn't like you. Tying it back to the principle, if you don't take them with you, you won't destroy other people's experiences. Y'all have a great day. Superintendent.
Thank you. I have your opinion on this plant right here. Is this really poison ivy, or is this more of a pseudo poison ivy, that 3-leaf?
This right here?
Actually, this one right here.
That is, looks like a small white oak.
Okay.
Yep, that's a small white oak.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any poison ivy right in here.
Yeah, I haven't either, you know, but I don't live here, so.
Pound bag of peanut M&Ms to devour over the next couple of days.
I said we spent all day doing it. When you went through every station.
We have largemouth bass, we have small striped bass, we also have gizzard shad right there. We have pumpkin seed, a bluegill, some red ear, a couple of perch, and a couple of channel catfish. Oh wow. Pretty good variety of species.
Stick that in the water with an electrical charge.
That pull a lot of fish. Just tell you what your current up through these booms here. You water through booms, these droppers, finger weight injections. And any fish pretty much in between these two fields and maybe within a foot or two radius of that, each boom, run a little bit to maybe 4 to 6 feet of water. Y'all stun them. They'll kind of come floating up. Pretty much as soon as you take them out of electric field, they're fine. They come to.
Never before. the Corps of Engineers is concerned because of our lakes being such in demand for the water supply that's in it. We'll wait here just a second before we move you down the trail. Read some statistics about water usage, using 190 gallons a day per person.
I'd like to welcome you to our exhibit, and I'd welcome you to Jamboree. I'm glad to meet every one of you coming through here from all over the world this week. We have a little display. It's going to be a little hands-on interactive display. Try and get the message across about water conservation to you. So I need a couple volunteers. What we're going to do is we're going to do a little 1-minute drill, and what I want you to do is I want you to pump the water into the bucket, dump in the bucket then, and then put the bucket off the side and count the number of buckets you fill in 1 minute, okay? You guys up there, you're going to turn the motor and the shower on, and you're going to flush the toilet, you're going to put it on in 1 minute, okay? And then you guys down here, the water's going to be draining out from the same help out of the toilet. You need to take those buckets, dump them in the manhole, and fill them up upside down, so you can count the number of gallons of water we use for waste in the 1 minute period compared to how much we use when we're pumping. Here we go. Turn it on. Turn it off, right down. You guys up top here, you can go sit down. You guys have to stay here and continue to run down. Okay, where's the guy who did the pumping here? How many gallons did you pump in a minute? 5. 5 gallons in 1 minute. How many gallons of water did we go through the water facility in 1 minute? 5 here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 gallons, 11, 12, probably 13 gallons. More than twice as much water in the modern house is being used just because of how easy we can get the water. Look in the olden days how much water they used to use. 1 gallon to do the wash basin. They used to fill up a pail, and they used to brush their teeth and wash their face, take the sponge bath, shave and everything, all in that 1 gallon pail. And nowadays, we brush our teeth, we turn the water on, let it run. The time it takes the average person to brush their teeth, they're wasting 3 gallons of water.
Today you're going to help us manage water. Water is the most powerful force on earth, and it's hard to manage. Can we control it? Yeah. We cannot control Mother Nature. When it starts to rain, we're at the mercy of Mother Nature. When it rains, our watershed begins to fill up, the lake begins to fill up, and so we've got to learn how to manage that. We take proactive steps to make sure we do that.
I found some sea glass.
All that's glass.
That's black.
They melt that sand down, and that's what they make glass out of.
Yeah, they're doing over here.
Work this way.
You got way too much. Where's your help? Use thing.
Hear the beep. You can actually see I speed the water up. You hear them as they start going faster and faster. So then we can slow it back down. But because water goes in pulses, it doesn't go at the same time all the time. We measure for about 40 seconds. And after it goes past 40 seconds, it'll shut off at the next click after that.
This UST stands for
there's a pump down at the bottom.
It's still sinking, right?
It's circulating the water back through this tube.
It's also moving that way. It's moving down this way. If I'm farmer number 3 and I start pumping my well, what's going to happen? I'm going to influence that pattern, that flow pattern, and I'm actually going to be pumping up contamination in my well. Right?
This is a T-Rex footprint made at Philmont.
If they go to Brownsea Island, they got that one done.
This is a novel you read.
Zero land management, so the first smoke is probably around 600. And actually we're sitting on top of North Block. Build on that, turn around over there.
Okay, he's got his first smoke. Now he's trying to get a whole bunch of billowing smoke. Now he's getting that's the good smoke he's looking for. Now if he can keep that going for about...
We found all these teeth. And a number of the bones do have teeth marks, yes. Much like modern day sharks, these guys could lose their teeth and not worry about it because they had more growing in behind. The sizes are big. Limb bones are in green, ribs and vertebra in yellow, and the purple stuff you see scattered all over are skull.
You all want to hear some information on this?
Artificially moved. One thing that...
I believe, I could be wrong.